guys, welcome back.
Hey,
Hey everybody.
How's everyone doing?
I'm good.
Doing good.
Doing
Awesome.
good.
Awesome. So, a little bit of an update on King Street Kids Q&A. We're taking a little bit of a different detour for the next few weeks. This is an opportunity to get to introduce some of our staff here at St. Matthew's. You see, the kids get to see us every week, and it looks like we've got more space to like squeeze in another person. So we thought it might be neat to let the King Street Kids out there get to know some of our staff that they may not get to see as often. Our first guest will be a little bit of a familiar face, and someone who's been on King Street Kids Q&A before. But as the weeks go on, you'll get to see some other faces as well. So y'all ready?
Do it.
Yeah, let's do
All
it.
right.
Who is it? I wonder.
First guest. Hey, look,
Hey,
it is.
Oh, hello
Hey,
there.
so-
It's Jason.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm up here in the heavens of the second floor.
Well, thanks for joining us. We're glad you're here.
It's good to be here.
All right. So, kind of first question for you, and I think you might have some questions for us too. Could be interesting. Could you share a little bit with our boys and girls out there, as well as others who may be watching, who may be new to this? What's a day in the life like at St. Matthew's for you?
A day in the life is very boring, but well, it can be very boring. It's a day in the life. It's a lot of planning and a lot of paper. Well, what used to be paperwork, but now a lot of computer time as far as word processing. The weekly bulletin that we put together every week takes some time to get all of that lined up into a readable format that we use, and so that takes some time, but also study, trying to figure out, and y'all know some of this. Y'all picked the hymn of the day,
Mhm.
but then other parts of the service that you have to pick out music for, and so it takes a little bit of time to go through that. So and so then there's actual physical time at practicing. So that's a day in the life, pretty much.
Nice. Nice. You have your
Aside from going down to get a cup of coffee every now and then. So.
Yeah, we got our steps in getting the coffee, huh, Jason?
Yeah, we got to, actually, the choir for Christmas gave me a hot water kettle and a coffee press, so I could actually right here at my desk make coffee and not have to get up. I mean, it's just going to be very efficient.
Yeah, between you being in the gallery at the organ and being upstairs, sometimes we don't see you too much. Makes us
Yeah,
sad.
they always put me up in high spots. I don't know why.
Good thing you aren't afraid of heights, right? You aren't afraid of heights, are you?
Well, yeah, I'm okay with heights as long as I have something to hold on to.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Do you have a question for us?
Well, got a couple of questions. One is, how long does it take you to put a sermon together?
It depends on the week, very much.
Don't like on Sunday morning. You just don't get up there and say, "Here you go."
No, no. I'll go ahead and put myself out here first, I guess. I try between looking at commentary and doing some research and looking at scripture and actually putting it in an outline. I try to aim for setting aside at least 5 hours a week. Sometimes it takes more just because it's just not coming together or it's a particularly tough week to preach. Sometimes it takes less because it's a text that I've preached on before and I already have the research, and sometimes it just really clicks into place and it clips along and it doesn't take that much time at all. We'll aim for middle of the road 5-ish hours.
when I started, it took a lot longer. I would say between 10 and 12 hours a week. in like the pastor said, some weeks are easier than others. When I have something very difficult to talk about, it sometimes it. I like the one I did on January 10th. I never procrastinate. I always get things done before, but that one, I didn't do that one, write that one until late Saturday night because I just didn't. I really agonized about what to say with that one. Sometimes they do come easier, but I always plan. I do sometimes preach from notes, but I prefer. I usually preach from a manuscript. Um, 5 hours is a good guess.
I was gonna say you first mentioned like 10 to 12 hours early on. I started feeling like, man, I must be a slacker. But I guess it's different for every pastor. Every pastor's
is.
got their style. So
But
That was early
actually
on.
what you said makes sense. As you know, and it should happen this way. The more you do something, the easier it should get. You know, and so I mean, but yeah, 5 hours is still a long time. I mean, that's pretty good. See, it's interesting when I practice, like for me to prepare a Bach prelude and fugue, it would take about 3 months of practice. That's doing about 2 or 3 hours, probably actually more hours than that a week, probably about 5 hours a week, at least an hour a day practicing. It takes about 3 months or so for one piece of music, like a Bach prelude and fugue. For a hymn, it could probably take about an hour or so a week to really, probably about 4 or 5 hours to prepare a service as far as hymns, especially depending on how big the service is, obviously. But
I'll bet the boys and girls and parishioners don't think about that. I think people forget about the work that we do to prepare does take a lot of effort leading up to, and I think people maybe forget that that even though you play the organ so well, you do have to practice still.
Well, I've told a couple of people this. The concert I did online in November was more for me than it was for anything else, because during the pandemic, I wasn't, especially in those early months, I wasn't practicing as much because a lot of us were homebound. Weren't going back and forth very much, and I realized that my technique and everything was actually going down. I was starting to lose technique. And so I pulled out literature. Some of it I didn't know, I never played before. Some of it was familiar literature I'd played before. So it was a mix, but it was more to, especially as we started looking at reopening, and it was to bring the heat back up.
all right. Final question. Keep into the music theme here. What is one artist or album that is always in your music library on your playlist? If someone were to look at your music library, what would they always find?
Well, there's actually two. I was thinking about this. Some people will be surprised by this, and some won't be. One is obviously Bach. I mean, it will always be there. But the other is Van Halen. As a kid, first time I ever heard Van Halen's music, just was enamored with him. As a kid, I was not allowed to have the album 1984 because of obviously with the angel smoking a pack of cigarettes on the cover. But that was frowned upon. But I've always, just his technique and the sound. Van Halen was just the ultimate. So he will always be there. Sadly, he passed away this past year.
This is hard. I don't know.
Yeah, Daniel, you go. I'm actually looking through my list here because
That's not fair. You don't get to look through a list. You should know this. This is
well, I mean, the two that
like I said, Van Halen right there, buddy. It's on the top.
well, the two that come to mind are that they're everywhere would be the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. So I have a lot of that. But you all know that I have a lot of different things on here.
I would say
it's a lot of
is that a good word to describe it, since that's what you always say about my music?
Eclectic.
Yes. It's very eclectic. We'll just go with the Beatles and Rolling Stones and leave it at that.
Yeah. I don't know. This is really hard, primarily because I just listen to so much music. I think an artist that's probably on any playlist that I make would be Bon Iver for sure. But that's
And
just
what
like
was that?
Bon Iver.
Oh,
Don't I know you don't listen to
I've
him.
never heard of this stuff. That
yeah.
You've definitely heard some of his work because you've ridden in my car.
Yeah.
Take your word for it.
I think for my list, I mean, you probably get musical whiplash because I have like everything from Duraflame to Daft Punk on my playlist. But a pretty good constant is probably a toss up between Joan Jett and Janis Joplin on mine. Well, what a King Street Kids Q&A. Well, thank y'all for coming out and joining us for King Street Kids Q&A. We'll be back next week. So thank y'all for joining us.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.